I'm unable to pass a COVID test, but hopefully I can pass an IQ test. And again, I think this should be short business. Number one on the agenda is to call to order. I'm clicking that this is being recorded. And our number two is 1919 Charleston riot marker. We missed you last time, Nick, but I guess being in Ireland is a very good excuse. And I'm assuming that everyone has gotten there was the comments from Edwin Breeden as reacting to the changes that we made last time. Briefly, maybe I'll summarize them. We thought Edwin is convinced that Charleston has to be on top of the marker, even though it is obvious that it's Charleston riot. And he put forth other things. He accepted U.S. naval training session, and he specifically on side 2 put in the word harassed, etc., to try to make it sure that it is understood that not everyone beat or otherwise attacked African Americans. And Nick, as you very well may know, it was our indecision as to exactly the number of casualties, which we did discover later. Thank you for emailing me and passing it along. That made us, that I think that also Edwin Breeden at the State Archives wanted to set straight. So much ado about nothing, or going right ahead with things. Do we want to discuss side 1 of the plaque as we normally do? And are there any questions or issues regarding it? And if you're there in person, I think I need to remind you to turn on your mic. And if you're here via Zoom, I need to tell you to unmute yourself.
And Dale has just arrived.
Okay, so we have quorum +1. So are there any comments about side 1 of the plaque?
Mr. Chairman, I think that this encompasses our conversation from last time, and we move that we approve panel 1 or side 1.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I second.
I can barely hear you. Thank you, Peg. Is there any discussion? I thank you so much. Is there any discussion? I hear none present. I see nothing in the chat. I see nothing from anyone else. So can we call the question? And I'm assuming that for y'all present, if you want to, so I'll call the question. Those in favor say yay, either raise your hand or say it out loud.
Yay.
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 I will say yay. Are there any nays or abstentions? I hear none. Thank you, commissioners. So can we now proceed to side 2 of the plaque? Again, are there any questions or concerns or suggestions about side 2 of the plaque?
There was one message we got from Wilmot I can share with the rest of the commission here.
And if you want to do that, Philip, I will respond to what the commission's, to what Edwin Breeden says. So we can do it in 2 different voices.
Sounds good. Let me figure out how to unshare this part of the screen real quick. This is what he said in an email to us. He wanted to propose this change on side 2. Rewriting lines 11 through 14, ellipses, city police, the racially biased order was restored May 11 by U.S. Marines and military police intervention. 3 Black residents were killed and dozens were injured, was his full recommendation. And that is all we had from him.
Right. And I think he was just trying to insert the word, you know, the racially biased norm was reestablished. I did share that information with Edwin Breeden, who responded in this way. I appreciate the suggestion, but I don't think most readers will intuitively understand what's meant by, quote, racially biased order, end quote, and that the confusion will distract from the rest of the text. I think I understand what the commissioner is going for, that even after the riot, the basic order of things in Charleston was still racially biased, which is an absolutely valid point. But for the purposes of a marker, I think it makes more sense to refer the restoration of civil order as a way to conclude the basic narrative of the riot as a specific event. So that was Edwin's reply from the State Archives, just for discussion. And again, I'll ask, we've aired Commissioner Wilmot Fraser's point of view, countered it with outsider Edwin Breeden's point of view. Are there any concerns or questions regarding this from the commissioners, or does someone want to make a motion to accept this as presented?
Mr. Chairman, this is
Yeah.
Nick Butler. I agree with what Dr. Breeden has said, and the paramount concern here is the economy of language. And I totally agree and I sympathize with the point that Dr. Fraser is making, but just simply because of the economy of language, I can't see inserting those extra words. So I would move that we approve side 2 as it is amended in front of us.
Thank you, Nick. And did I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will then ask to call the question. And again, those in favor of passing it, please say aye or raise their hands. Aye.
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 Any negatives or abstentions? Hearing none, I think we can say that the second side has passed as well. And that only leaves one other item on the agenda, and that's adjournment. And thank you for preserving history, and thank you for making history by making this a very short session. And I'm sorry, I can't see if anyone else has any other comments.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Peter Shayan. One of the things that I would recommend that we do, and this came up, I think at our real estate committee meeting when we were discussing the lease or lend of the Francis Marion portrait. I think it's helpful, and Mr. Drew's in the attendance with us today. He can help us with this part of it. But I think that the work that we do here with this commission never gets reported to the council at large. And certainly Councilmember Parker or myself can make that report without anybody else having to show up. But I do think it's important that the council at large either receives a written report from the chair, or we make a report at council meetings. This is very critical information that we're doing here. And would not advising the rest of the council of what's taking place. So we can get these things on our city council agenda. We've got these deadlines of doing that. But I certainly would open up for discussion from you, Mr. Chairman, as how you would like for us to proceed with that.
And I would defer back to you, council member, to say, what do you think would be the best way? Should it be a written report? Should it be annually? Should it be quarterly? And I'm assuming it would. And based on that, what would that report consist of? Should it be a summation of what was decided, or do you think it should include the minutes and actual plaques themselves? You know, which would be best for council to receive, and what the contents would be, and in the manner of presentation?
I think that certainly a quick synopsis from the chair with saying that these were the items of importance that we took up, and this would be one of them, and that we include the approved version of these two panels, and then Councilmember Parker or I can elaborate on that to fill in any gaps. But that would not necessitate, unless you really want to come to a city council meeting, to appear. But I think just letting the council know what we're doing. I'm looking at Mr. Giroux as I'm talking to see what he thinks about that process.
I think maybe a quarterly report from the chairman about the ongoing activities of the commission, what it's been doing. And as you suggested, Councilman Shade, reading a report on what has actually transpired. I think that would be very, very helpful.
Yeah, and I'm not bound by or married by if we do it after every meeting or every quarter, whatever I think is comfortable for the chair or this commission if they think otherwise. But I think some kind of periodic report and, that of what's going on is really important.
So thank you. And again, forgive me, I can't see if people are, forgive me if I am interrupting. So when would a quarterly report, let's say for this year of 2023, be, what would the deadline be for submission for a quarterly report for this year?
I would say the second meeting in March, which is the 28th, I think, Harlan, and then you could go from then on, like the second meeting the next quarter, the second meeting the next quarter. So that final, that second, it's always the fourth Tuesday of the month.
So right. So
And Mr. Chairman, you would have to get that into the clerk of council at least by the preceding Monday.
that was going to be my next question, right? And I'm assuming that can be an email transmission of text.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone want to propose some language regarding that?
Mr. Chairman, how about this? I propose that you, as chairman of this commission, ensure that a quarterly submission of our minutes and signage text approved is forwarded to the clerk of council in order to be made available to council on a quarterly basis.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Dale. So I want to, and I'll ask, is there any discussion? And I will do that too. So again, I will ask, do we think it's necessary to send the minutes along as well? And again, I'll defer to you, Councilman, and also to you, Rick Giroux, to think if the minutes should be attached to that as well, other than a brief report and the plaques themselves.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to get swamped with over papered. So I would skip the minutes. If somebody wants a copy of the minutes, we can accommodate that. But I think being brief is being brief and informative. The two guiding principles I would encourage you to use.
Well, right. We learned how to use language economically on these signs, so maybe we can do it on reports. So any more discussion? And that, Rick, Nick, would you care to amend?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend my movement per the language of Councilman Shahid so that instead of sending the minutes quarterly, we will send a brief summary of the activity along with the text of the approved language on various signs.
Thank you, Nick.
I would second that.
Okay, thank you. So any more discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Dale,
Yes.
just what is the routine up till now about the record of the minutes being available to the clerk of council and therefore council members? Just routinely, what have we done?
I mean, I will ask others to weigh in, but I will say, Dale, in my experience, we are very fortunate with having, Philip Clapper and other city staff immediately producing the minutes and making them available to us. I'm assuming after they're approved, maybe Philip or someone else with the city can say what happens to those minutes, where they are kept. But for the last several years, and you may remember this yourself, Dale, there's been a vast improvement in the production of the minutes and the professionalism of the minutes and in the quick delivery of the minutes. But once they are approved, once we approve them at our meetings, I'm not sure what their status is. And if someone else in the city can answer that, I'd be happy to hear that.
So, Mr. Chairman, we usually take those and they are posted online on the city's website. You can go to charleston-sc.gov and you can follow the links toward agendas, and under every agenda, you'll have the History Commission and they'll have the printouts for the agendas there. And next to those on the right are the minutes for everything uploaded online for the public and any members of city government to view
Good.
and read for their own purposes.
Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you for that, Philip. Thank you so much. Any other questions, Dale?
No, sir.
Okay, so I think we were in no more discussion, anyone? So I think we're in the midst of calling the question. So those in favor of Nick Butler's amended resolution and seconded resolution, please say aye or raise their hand. Aye.
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 Anyone negative or abstain, please let us know. Okay, so on the 28th, and going backward to the Monday before, I will submit a brief summary of what we will have decided upon, I'm assuming this quarter, letting City Council know that if they have questions of previous quarters, we'd be glad to supply that, and we'll be following that from every quarter after that. And maybe, Philip, I can ask for your help in that and determining, that I meet the deadlines.
Harlan, it's the Monday before would be the 19th, not the 26th.
Okay, the 19th. Okay.
It's actually a week before the Monday before.
Okay, a week. Okay, gotcha. So I've written down here the 19th. So okay, got it. So are there any other orders of business before this commission? Can I hear a motion for adjournment then?
So move.
Seconded?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? And if we all want to say aye, if we
Aye.
approve, aye, no.
Aye.
Thank you all. So thank you again for making this a very brief and very succinct meeting, and for opening our activities up to the larger city council. Thank you all for attending, and I hope to see y'all in person sometime soon.
Thank you, Harlan.
Thank you, Harlan.
Y'all take care.
Bye.